All right, this is Cozy Wealth Builder Acquisitions Business Mentor. I want to talk a little bit more about the origins in which I got on this path of mergers and acquisitions, right? So it's a little bit more deeper than, say, me purchasing a course about Roland Fraser, who's a phenomenal, M&A person. I wouldn't cheapen him to guru, but yeah, he does kind of fall into that guru. But he's actually been doing it since the 80s. He is a business lawyer, so he does have insight as far as the sell side as well as the buy side. So he's definitely somebody he's a true deal maker. So he knows a lot about litigation, about LOIs, so on and so forth. He doesn't practice law anymore, so he has a business partner that who does his law, who does basically the legal side of him, Grant Teeple. Anyway, so what really got me into the the whole M&A space is, or me even realizing that it was a possibility, was Reginald F Lewis, right? So there was back in those days, I think it was around 2011, 2010. There was a big thing about blogs. So blogs were still like a thing. And I was looking at this blog. It's no longer operable, but it was kind of like within the Dream and Hustle. And Dream and Hustle was one of them. I think Dream and Hustle is still going, last time I checked. And I learned a lot from them too. But I was able to find one called Rise and Grind, and on his page, he had like a lot of books, and I was really into like reading a lot of books. I was so basically, little backstories that I was living in El Paso. I had this dream of opening up. Well, my friend, he had this idea of opening up this grocery store, and that's the reason why I kind of moved out there, because it was I saw it as it was going to be a opportunity. Didn't end up being that way. I think really the issue was that I was sidetracked and distracted, and I didn't come there for what I really was going there for. So what ended up happening was there was a period where I was kind of doing whatever. I was doing things I'm not proud of, but more importantly, I was able to shake out of it and really get into me going in me planning myself in reality, and kind of realizing where I wanted to be. And so business was the reason why I ended up in Texas, El Paso, Texas, from Atlanta. And that's what I always wanted to do. I mean, it's even as far as when I was a kid, just lemonade stands and selling candy and just having these big ideas. I've always wanted to push those things through. And me, I didn't grow up with high self esteem for myself. So I wasn't like those kids that were just like, hey, normal, like, hey, I'm a kid, I have nothing to lose. Let me go ahead and sell this, or let me go ahead and do these things. And, you know, um, those things were kind of intimidated to me. Now, I did try these things, I did attempt to do these things, but Um, it was always something like maybe a teacher says something that, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, and it just kind of crushed my my dreams of this me trying to sell things. And these things came in, came out, up and down, had to deal with that. Anywho, that's not what I'm trying to make this thing here, but I'm trying not to go too far back that I don't lose it. But anyway, so we're going to we're just staying on the topic of mergers and acquisitions of it being a reality. So in that blog of Rise and Grind, I was able to find uh, one book that really resonated to me, and the title of that book was "Why Do All the White Guys Get to Have All the Fun?" Something along those lines. And in that book, it detailed Reginald F Lewis, who was possibly the first black billionaire, essentially. So he was involved in this leverage buyout, one of the biggest leverage buyout of the 80s into the 90s. Uh, the deal didn't really. So you should definitely pick up that book. That book is a really good book. Um, Not just in the Black history sense, but also in just the general LBO mergers and acquisitions space. And I don't think that book gets a lot of flack about how he grew up and just all the adversities that he was up against, just based off of him, his background, his race, those type of things. So he was able to excel at such a high level that it was inevitable for his success. And he just kind of kept going. He kept going until he got it. Unfortunately, he did pass away of cancer, close to when he was able to close that deal. So he actually was not alive when that deal like fully closed. But he did do all the legwork that was needed for him to kind of pass that baton. Um, so seeing what he went through and just going and just kind of walking with him, and it was an autobiography, so he wrote majority of it before he left this earth. And even with the tough adversities that he faced, he still was able to close and do whatever it took to take his to really get his M&A career off the ground, and it was just a really remarkable story. And like I said, I think that you should definitely take that take a read of that book. Definitely let me know that it is a definite possibility. And just me being the person of black, I really just pulling the black card or the race card, but it just that book alone just lets me know that there's no excuses, and that that's a possibility to sell to buy businesses in creative ways. Okay, so that kind of sparked my interest with that. And this man was somebody who was able to look outside the box and really kind of put his own deals together. And I think that's really what makes an M&A deal, because at the end of the day, this is not something that. So the only thing that like, whether you're doing the school route, the traditional M&A route, or if you're just doing it like on a mom and pop level or grassroots level, you're starting up, it's really the deal maker that makes that deal. So that's why having a vision is very crucial in creating your deal. The numbers, of course, are the most important factors. Otherwise, there is no deal, because you have to make it so that when you purchase that deal, the business has to be able to stand on its own. Not only that, but when you are involved in mergers and acquisitions, the components is the cultural. If you take one company that is a sales driven company and you merge it with another one that is more on the cultural base of serving a customer service, you have to find a way where there's a common ground where they both can meet. And you as a deal maker, you're not just putting these deals together. You're being a coach. You're being a mentor. You're providing the mediation of these two entities, and you're basically negotiating how they both can coincide within each other. You're basically forming the whole. Ryan Dice says it from Digital Marketer. Can't give too much away. It's actually in one of his courses that with the Epic Network. But he says like, hey, you have to create this solar system within yourself. Like you have to create it. You got to be kind of the center of it because everything is going to be pushed through you. You're the one that brought these companies together. So you have to be the one to kind of forge the path. And you have to be ready to be a CEO. And you have to be ready to be the CEO to kind of help everybody, basically help them steer the ship in the way that's going to make everybody successful. Okay? So that's very important. So going back to Reginald F Lewis, and if you read that book, it's very, very, very much on point with what I just said about Ryan Dice. He's the type to find everything and finding what needs to be done and purchasing not only the platform companies, but also the supplemental companies that will help push everything into the goal. Okay. What is the Northern Star? Where are all these companies going? Is everybody just kind of coinciding and doing their own thing? Well, it defeats the whole purpose of having mergers and acquisitions. How do they feed off of each other? How are there synergies? Because synergy can also be measured. So synergy is actually a measurement. It's not just a cool, flashy word. So how are these things how are they feeding off each other? How are they reducing costs? How are they becoming more profitable? And how do we gear these companies up so that they can be sellable? And if you don't plan on being sold, or at least 100%, how are you going to position it so that you regain a good portion of ownership without messing up the culture of it, because that's also important. And what I found with speaking to a lot of these business owners is that, hey, it's one thing to sell the company, but this company is their baby, just like anybody else's. So you have to find a way where you can maneuver and just keep their legacy and just keep it to the point where they are able to keep their name and keep the integrity and really finding out the pain points and really, really answering to the feedback loops and knowing what their top customers are looking for and still keeping the business moving as if nothing has really changed. And if it has changed, it's actually improved. So that's just what I'm finding is that this mergers and acquisitions and just deal making in that sense, it's more than just finding a business and it's X amount of money and you want to make that amount of money. It's how you're structuring it. So I think that's very important in finding that sweet spot. So I just want to say that that's just kind of a rambling that I had in my mind. Hope that finds you well. Listen, this is new for me. If I'm on topic, let me know. If I'm not, let me know. I want to get better with this thing. Trying different things. Put your feedback on for me. Thank you. Bye bye.